Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Study in the UK webinar. We've got a fantastic lineup for you today with Oxford, Manchester, and Glasgow joining us. And our webinar is going to really be in three parts. Number one, we're going to hear from our panelists who they are, a little bit about why they chose the school that they're in, a little bit about their adventure in choosing. The second thing, we're going to talk about the school experience in the UK. Before we started, we're talking a little bit about punting, rowing, and horse riding and polo. And then we're going to talk about the global perspective that these programs bring. So I'll let our panelists introduce themselves. We'll start with gentlemen first. Introduce themselves, what school they've chosen, a little bit about why they chose the school that they're at, what other schools they were looking at. We'll keep it short. And Nayan, I just want to thank you because you are participating from your vacation location. So thank you for taking some time out to talk about the cool stuff going on in the UK. So Nayan, would you like to kick us off and talk a little bit about you and why you chose the UK?
Of course, thank you. Hi everyone. I'm Nian Higgins. I'm a student at Manchester Metropolitan University. I am from Manchester. I was born and raised there. So one of my key aspects, or I guess my views of when I was looking for university was generally to stay local. I also applied to some further out. But for me, I wanted to stay at home. I wanted to stay with the family. So Manchester was my number one spot. There are two or three universities within Manchester, but I got my first pick, which of course, as I said, is Manchester Metropolitan.
Perfect. So let's head over to Isabel. Isabel, you want to walk us through why you chose Oxford, where I work as well. So
Yeah, sure, Patty. So hi, everyone. My name is Isabel Gora. I'm originally from Zimbabwe, but I currently live in Switzerland. I've worked globally in China, US, and Germany, and I explored options in the US and Europe. So unlike Naya, and I wanted to go the further, the better. But I chose Oxford because it stood out for me, and the UK offers global access without losing that local intellectual roots. And yeah, that's why I chose Oxford in the UK.
okay, now we'll head over to Glasgow. The coldest summer of my life I spent in Scotland. So talk to us a little bit about your choice of Glasgow.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you. My name is Kirti Dubey. I'm basically from India and I'm currently studying MBA at the University of Glasgow. Prior to coming to Glasgow, I've been working for about over 18 years now. My background has been in sales and business development, client management. I've worked in five different industries, started with banking, financial services, e-commerce, textile, business travel, and last was a food technology. I think after working for about 18 years, I kind of hit a sort of a plateau. And I think I really wanted to kind of shuffle things in my career. And I was exploring the university, but kind of Glasgow really stood out for me the most. And I resonated the most with the program that they were offering and the options and the opportunities, the consultancy, the industry exposure, all of that. And that kind of actually made me decide that, yes, this is the university I want to kind of, go to for my MBA. Thank you.
Fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about your experience because if I'm not mistaken, you all are still in your experience and in graduating in 2025. So sustainability is huge. We're allowed to talk about that here in the UK. So let's talk a little bit about, have you had courses integrate in sustainability into your programs? What particular UK aspects have you seen, if any? Nayan, we'll start off with you live from Marrakesh.
Yeah, great. So I study, sorry, I didn't mention before, I study accounting and finance at MMU. And there's multiple modules each year, of course. I think in general, 3 to 4 modules each semester and 2 semesters over a year. There's been a number of modules over my 3 years, which has incorporated sustainability, governance, ethics, some law in there as well, but all about the right decisions to be made, obviously ethically, environmentally, and so on. It's been very interesting because it's not as simple as, they just tell you this is how to be sustainable or like these are the facts and the figures. But also they go into depth about application as well. Exactly, how can I apply it into my personal life? How can I apply it into my professional life when I get there as well? And I think a key point I should make as well is that I've been on multiple international trips and opportunities with the university. And something that Manchester Metropolitan strive to do is also make every trip as possible. And what they do is we hold a webinar or like a little event prior to the trip, make all of the attendees and make all of the students and the tutors aware of, this is a carbon footprint, this is the expected carbon footprint, this is how to minimize it, and so on. And it's not as simple as these are the steps we can make while on the trip, but it's also carried on into my personal life. Much of what I take into account now, and I use such initiatives.
That's incredible. Isabella, as you know, at Oxford Saïd, we talk a lot about impact from within and a lot about sustainability. Would you like to share a little bit about what you've learned at Oxford?
Yeah, absolutely. So perhaps I talk a little bit about my background. So I work in the automotive industry, which has a very significant transformation going on at the moment from combustion engines to EVs. And the future is uncertain. And obviously, the transformation is really going to determine the future success of the industry. So being part of Oxford actually has helped me transition into my upcoming role. So I will be studying as a VP and head of program management for unified sales for one of the leading automotive manufacturers in Germany. And what this program has really taught me is to ask ourselves the questions, how can we actually act beyond just regulations? So if you think of the automotive industry, it's mainly think proactive rather than reactive. And so with Saïd, I've also had an opportunity to work on ESG initiatives that are beyond industry. For example, I've worked with the UNDP. Actually, we had a real world partner to work on, systems thinking and how to develop firm level interventions for complex social, environmental, and economic challenges. And this opportunity allowed me to think beyond my own industry and also look into how policies are actually implemented and what that means for strategic focus within the automotive industry. So it's also a very good opportunity, of course, to work with NGOs. And it made me also see how real world action actually is implemented and also have an impact on policy. So moving forward, I definitely want to be in the forefront of the regulatory aspect for the automotive industry and really shape how particularly the European automotive industry catches up, of course, with the Chinese competitors and also become the pioneers of sustainable engines in the future. So yeah, I've been very much inspired in class, but also from other industries as well and organizations. So to think end to end really about sustainability.
And moving to Scotland, Scotland is one of the most beautiful, pristine countries I've ever been to. So I can imagine that sustainability is high on the list of things you're learning during your courses. Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Sure, certainly. I think I've had sort of a brief, a space where I, kind of got an opportunity to work with the organization where we're kind of implementing the sustainable practices. But my understanding of sustainability has kind of only deepened after coming to the Glasgow at the university. The kind of initiatives that they are taking as far as sustainability and the sustainable practices are concerned, and then the kind of guest speakers we've had in last several months. And then I'm part of the summer school, which is one of the main electives for us. And this year's theme is sustainability. So I think the university is kind of trying and push to kind of bring sustainability in the mainstream as much as possible by, kind of initiating several sort of discussions, programs, guest speakers, participating or sponsoring events around sustainability. Like we recently had Glasgow Climate Week, where university was one of the sponsors, and the whole week we kind of engage in discussions about sustainability. It was it has kind of really got me interested into sustainability so much that I'm kind of now looking to perhaps, maybe it's time for me to sort of pivot my career and move towards sustainability. It has pushed me to almost that level. So I think there's been great initiatives from the university, but yeah, and several opportunities as well to kind of engage in, learning more about sustainability.
No, that's fantastic. And staying with you about, you touched on a little bit about the cohorts and what you're learning. What I see in the UK and in France, in my experience, is the diversity of the cohorts is incredible. It's something that trumps what happens in the United States in terms of cohorts. I know that Oxford, Isabel will talk about it a little bit in a minute. The diversity, the number of nationalities that you have in your programs, the diverse opinions, the different professors. If you could just talk a little bit about how you're learning from other people, who those people are, what they're adding to the classroom. Isabel, we'll start off with you.
Yeah, I'm very happy to jump into that. So for me, the diversity at Oxford is really shocking. I mean, we are a very small cohort with 70 people, but nonetheless, we come from 28 nationalities, and our cohort has 42% are women. So I have been able to really network with some of the most powerful and inspiring women, because I come from an industry where I'm mostly the only woman in the room.
Yeah.
So it's lovely to have that network. And not only that, but I have also had group assignments where I worked alongside a neurosurgeon from the US, a policymaker from Nairobi, a senior executive from Japan, and every discussion has forced me to just listen better, challenge my assumptions and my biases, and also rethink the leadership, what leadership means in the plural world. So Oxford has taught me to lead with rigor, but also listen with humility. And this has been really highly impactful. In terms of also thinking of how to break silo thinking in my workspace, because you are challenged to think in a different way. And of course, there's 28 employment sectors in total in my cohort, which means you literally have an expert in almost everything, whether we're discussing about private equity, whether IRR is the right indicator, or you're talking about changing the public health systems and what that has to do with the global dynamics, and also discussing who's going to be the next president of Kenya. And yeah, so the diversity is really something that I was expecting, but it has been beyond my wildest imaginations. And it's one of the values that I would definitely take back with me once I get back into work full time. And yeah,
That's
Oxford has really delivered on that.
Nayan, you're an interesting case because you go to Metropolitan Met, which is massive, massive international population. How does that affect your everyday learning? Talk to us a little bit about the diversity in your classroom.
Yeah. So yeah, similar to what Isabel just closed off on. I obviously know the UK and Manchester very well, and I know it's a very multicultural place. So I was expecting Manchester Metropolitan University to be very multicultural and diverse, but I was blown away by just how diverse it really was. By people from all across the world, international students, some who have lived here for many years. But we all came together. We all had a very similar passion, especially for my course. But this is obviously representative across all the courses at MMU. I think it's very interesting, where I've learned a lot from not just the students, but the tutors, everyone is diverse in that perspective. I have gained a number of close friends and course mates who are of varying nationalities, varying, genders, race, ethnicities, and so on. So I think it's been great, and it's opened my eyes to not just, opportunities within my industry and within my course, but also learning about how other people think, how they act, the initiatives that they have took before to get to where they are currently are, and the initiatives that they plan on taking. Because what has opened my eyes to is that everyone may be, on a similar journey to maybe graduate, get a job, go into something else eventually. But everybody's path is so different. It's entirely different. Mine is so much different to one of my closest friends, and we're on the same course. So it's opened my eyes to it's not just a structure, and it's a lot more about flexibility within the industry and within the academics. So yeah, just to close off, I don't want to ramble on too long, but
No,
overall,
it's really good. That's
yeah,
one thing is amazing is the learning that you get from other people.
yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about outside of the classroom, a little bit cultural immersion. Let's start off in Scotland. I have to admit, the first couple of times I went to Scotland, I didn't understand a word anybody was saying. We speak the same language, but we don't. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about adapting to the culture? Maybe some of the things you found interesting. Have you been able to travel? A little bit about your adventure outside of the classroom.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Scotland is one of those very, very beautiful countries, isn't it? And I think Glasgow is so beautifully situated that, on one hand, you just kind of you drive for about 45 minutes and you're already in the Highlands. And then you drive the other side and you have Edinburgh and the other smaller towns which are equally beautiful to kind of explore. I think culturally, Scotland offers a very, very sort of a rich environment, plenty of opportunities to kind of explore the culture too. The people are very, very warm, welcoming, and I mean, I've been here before, so it wasn't really a shocking experience for me. But I've seen my MBA colleagues and other friends. I think it was very, very easy for them to adapt as well, because I think, like they say, people make Glasgow, and it stands 100% true that that they kind of really are so welcoming.
Yeah.
So I think it offers you all kinds of activities, from hiking to walking to just kind of want to explore the beaches or smaller towns. And then you have bagpipes and the Haley dances happening in the pubs, and that pub meetups. And there's just so much that Glasgow and the Scotland offers, that there won't be really a dull moment in your in your sort of education journey here, is all I would say.
Just don't be late for class after the
Oh,
pub. That's it.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's it.
Absolutely.
Just in case any professors are listening, so I have to say that Isabel and I were speaking before the webinar started. I just arrived in the UK end of January after living almost 30 years in France. And I had the poshest Saturday you'll ever have. I was at a college garden party, followed by the summer eight, which is rowing, which I didn't know. Then we had a polo match, which I still do not understand anything about that, and the NBA ball at the polo match. Isabel was talking about some of the cultural things she's going to be doing the next time she comes to the UK when her module happens end of January. So, Isabel, talk to me about horse racing.
Yes, I am very happy to share the cultural calendar and the perks of studying in UK. So actually in June, I'm going to the Royal Ascot with some of my cohorts. So yes, we're going to be wearing the fancy fascinators. And in July, we have the Henley Royal Regatta, which I'm very much looking forward to. But the experience at Oxford really blends all these cultural, activities. I mean, from having formal dinners at 800-year-old colleges and late night debates at the Bay Inn, where you're drinking a glass of wine or a pint and trying to make sure who is able to drink from a Guinness glass and make sure that it hits the G. And also, just the network that we have in terms of also networking with the Oxbridge. So we have also our Cambridge Ember mixers, and that just opens us culturally in terms of just immersing ourselves into the rich history of Oxford, but also the heritage of England. So yeah, for me, really, this has been really meaningful, and it has become a place of inspiration. I mean, there's just something about being able to immerse yourself and meeting your colleagues and talking about business and life at the Royal Ascot. I think the ideas just flow differently, and it's definitely worth coming to study in the UK.
Isabel, if you meet the king, you better bring an Oxford flag with you and get a picture of that.
Oh,
A
absolutely.
picture with the king. Nyan, I have to admit that Manchester is one of my favorite cities in the UK. I think that it is absolutely fantastic, whether that be for sports, for food, for anything. Now you're a local, so we got some good local information from you. What are some things that you really enjoy to do in Manchester?
So there's endless things. That's quite vague, I'll admit. But no, there's plenty of things. As far as sports go, I play basketball. I play golf quite a lot. And I also am into boxing as well. I live in the gym pretty much right now, so there's multiple things you can do regarding sports and activities. I'll be joining a paddle club soon. I've never actually tried it before, but a few of my close friends have got me into it or trying to get me into it. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, in addition to that, there's a great scenery as far as, bars go and nightlife. Um, I'm not condoning us to do that all the time. As
Thank
far as
you.
as far as academics go, that's number one priority. And then when that's done, we can enjoy ourselves. But no, Manchester has so many places where you can enjoy yourself in such a way. The shops, the food, the restaurants, there's so much variety. As we spoke about before, Manchester and the UK as a whole is super diverse, it's super multicultural. So on one street, where I am in Manchester, the road is called Oxford Road. That's where the university is. Not to get confused with Oxford University. But no, Oxford Road is the road. And there was so many restaurants and bars and cuisines from Italian to French to Jamaican to Indian to Japanese and so on. So yeah, I think there's so much. I'm only scratching the surface for what's in Manchester. But what I can say is I love it and I would recommend anybody to come along.
It's fantastic. I tried paddle for the first time with some executive MBAs in Oxford that made me wake up at 6 a.m. to do it before class. They were on time to class, but I don't know. It was cold. I'm not sure I'm going to do that again. We're going to close out the school experience with a tough question for you all. Your time is coming to an end with your programs. I mean, it's sad to say it passes like this. I tell everybody, blink your eye and your program's over because that's what happens. Maybe if you could share just maybe one or two of the things that are going to stick with you after you leave. You want to start out, Isabel?
Yeah, I'm very happy to start. So, of course, it's really, really sad. Actually, today I was chatting in my Amber cohort WhatsApp group, and we really can't believe we only have 3 modules to go.
Yeah.
But of course, we will take the experiences for a lifetime. And for me, what really stands out is the quality of education that we got, the cutting edge research that Oxford has offered. I really came as a thinker, but I'm leaving as someone who is going to be challenging the status quo. And I feel well equipped to really take any challenge that would be thrown at me moving forward. The second thing that I'll take with me is, and this is something that stands out, our Vietnam module. It was of particular relevance for myself as, we examined FDI strategy, innovation, and sustainability. And coming from Africa, it was really eye-opening for me to see how Vietnam has been able to attract FDI. And I also started to ask myself the question whether or not this can be applicable to Africa at large, also having a similar, risk portfolio. And this has been life-changing as I'm also thinking of going beyond the corporate world and probably giving back to my own continent. And this is thanks to the eye-opening module in Vietnam. Above all, one experience that stands out for me is traveling with my cohort. As I said, we come from 28 different nations. And so far, we've been able to travel to 5 of them in the last 1.5 years.
Wow.
And the trips were organized by my fellow cohorts. And, doing safari in Kenya in the Masai Mara, which is organized by one of your colleagues, is just extremely magical. And of course, it strengthens the bonds. Or sailing in Croatia and soon Australia, which I'm very much looking forward to as I've never been. So above all, the rich experience has been really the people. They are unassuming, brilliance, their deep sense of purpose, but also the friendships that I know will last beyond the program. We all know the older we get, the lonelier it becomes at the top. And an EMBA is one of those, experiences, especially if it's crafted in such a way that Oxford has done it. I definitely have a lifelong community, and that is one of the biggest highlights for me.
Oh, that's amazing. And let's talk a little bit about Scotland. Are you going to ever leave Scotland? Are you staying? What memories are you taking with you?
Well, I mean, I don't think I'm going anywhere anytime soon. So I'm not, I mean, I'm not really thinking of leaving Scotland as yet or so soon anytime. I think when I came last September and today, I think I'm a different person for good. I think the program, the people, the academics, my experiences, the opportunities I was exposed to, I think it has completely altered me as a professional, as an individual. It has humbled me, it has grounded me further, and it has given me memories, friendships, acquaintances that I think I'm going to cherish forever. And yeah, so it has given me a lot.
Yeah, I look at you guys and I see everybody going on the programs and nobody leaves the same person that they entered the program. Nayan, I know you're from Manchester, but there's got to be some amazing experiences. What are one or two things you're going to leave this program with?
Yeah. So my final exam was approximately 3 weeks ago, and it was the most bittersweet moment of the last few years. For so long, I was counting down the days until my final exam, waiting until studying was finally over and I can finally put my feet up and go on holiday. But that day was, as I said, it was very bittersweet. I was with some of my closest friends who I've obviously created relationships with and friendships with from the very first day of first year. And these last 3 years have flown by like nothing else. And it's very sad to leave or so soon. If I could, I'd stay for another 5, 10 years. But I've accepted that, it's chapters of your life. I've just completed one. I'm on to the next now. And we move. So it's been very interesting. The people I've met have been so down to earth. They've been amazing. As I mentioned briefly before, I've been on several trips with the university. To name a few, I went to Belgium, so Brussels in Belgium. That was my first one in March of last year. I then went to Romania in April, Netherlands in September, Egypt in November, and then recently China in March of 2025. And on all of those trips, I've met so many amazing people, so many amazing individuals, that being students and tutors. Some of them I have great friendships with. As mentioned earlier, I'm on holiday right now in Marrakesh. And one of those people that I met on one of the first trips, I'm with him right now. He's one of my closest friends, and hopefully will be for the foreseeable future. But no, yeah, it's been amazing. I've loved every minute of it. Of course, it's been the ups and the downs, but each and every bit has been so valuable.
We'll stick with you for my next question because now you've finished your exams. Had you been in Oxford, you would have had a red carnation. You get a white carnation at the beginning, and then it turns pink with your blood and red at the end for the blood that you've given for your exam. So we'll make sure to send you a red one now that you're done. Going to a global perspective and sort of post-program, in terms of opportunities, do you feel like the name of your school or having studied in the UK has been helpful towards your next steps and your next professional opportunities? It could be the name of the school, could be the fact that you were in the UK. Has that helped or hindered?
I believe it has helped greatly. Not just for the name, although I think Manchester Metropolitan itself, being a triple accredited business school, does have a great portfolio of the people that have gone through it, the amazing opportunities that have arisen through the university. As I said, it's not just the name that I feel will stand out. It's the opportunities and what's been added to the CV and the cover letters and the LinkedIn. That's what's helped so much. Because of university and because of the amazing opportunities that have arose, I have secured a great graduate job within an accounting industry firm. It's called PwC, also known as PricewaterhouseCoopers. I'm
We
not
all know
sure.
who PwC is, Naya. No worries.
So yeah, I've been offered a role there. I'm starting there in September, in Manchester. I don't plan on leaving anytime soon. But there I'll be doing my qualifications, and potentially after those 3 years, I may look at, moving internationally, going global, whether it's with the firm or not. I'd love to.
Well, honestly, congratulations. Well done, you. We'll move
Thank
over
you.
to Glasgow. Has the name Glasgow? I mean, this is incredible. An Indian lady going to Scotland. This is a fantastic story. Has this been opening doors for you? Talk to me a little bit about that professional side of it now.
Sure. I don't think I've really kind of put in 100% effort to kind of be out and about looking for opportunities. But some conversations have started on my end. And I think the fact that I'm kind of studying at the University of Glasgow and I'm still, kind of graduating, I think it is certainly opening doors for me. It also a conversation started. Okay, tell me about your MBA. And then, of course, people want to know more and more about the university, the life, the culture, the diversity, and this. So it certainly gives me a platform to kind of, get inside the door and, talk to people and see what are the opportunities are there for me. So yes, it certainly has that impact.
It's a great story. I mean, I'm into it. I would definitely give you a follow-up call if your resume came across my desk. And Isabel, what about you? I know that you were thinking of moving around. I mean, has the name Oxford Saïd been useful for you in thinking about your career or opportunities or next steps?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Oxford opens doors, but more importantly, it has opened conversations for me.
Yeah.
So whether it's about boardroom opportunities or global forums, I mean, the Oxford brands just invites instant credibility and curiosity. So talking about ROI from the executive MBA, mine has extremely paid off. I'm going to be starting a new role on the 1st of July, and at the world's largest automotive manufacturer, where I'll be VP, so C-1 level, and heading the program management for unified cells, as I talked about sustainability in the automotive industry. So this hasn't been just been an ember, but it has been a lifelong license to operate on a global scale. So absolutely, the degree has given me more credibility, but also more self-confidence. We always talk about, the imposter. Oxford has extremely eradicated that. And that is definitely an impact that I would take with me moving forward in my career.
No, it's fantastic. I know it may be premature for some of you, but have any of you sort of leveraged your alumni networks or contacted them yet? I mean, it's a bit early, but if anybody's contacted the alumni networks, could you talk a little bit about that?
If I may.
Yes, please. Please.
Perfect. I think I have been very proactive, and I think I'm one of those examples. If I say so, that I was at the right place at the right time. So I've been able to kind of forge relationship with the alumni, get all the support I need, the guidance I needed. So I think I have really got the support I needed from the alumni, and at whatever juncture, I mean, from the time when I was starting off to kind of somewhere in between to kind of now where I've been mentored by an alumni, and then I'm kind of taking guidance from few others in the kind of different subject and areas that I need for. I think alumni support is exceptional, and it's there for you. All you have to do is just ask for it, and it'll be given.
Well said. No, I think that I can share that. The alumni, it's most important when you reach out to them that you hear their story instead of just sending an email saying, "Do you have a job for me?" Because that happens too. I've seen that happen. We'll do one more question for the panel. We'll do round robin, and then we can open up to see if we have any questions from the audience. Really, a last question. What advice would you give to anybody who's thinking about studying in the UK? maybe some tips and tricks from your journey, why you chose, and just some advice for people, because I think people on the call are maybe considering the UK. More and more people are considering non-US programs given the current state of affairs in the United States right now. It's a prime time to study in the UK. So, Nayan, why don't you talk to us about some advice on why should someone consider the UK, or what advice would you give them when they're considering the UK?
Yeah. I think I'll start with the typical professional side of the amount of opportunities in the UK. It doesn't really matter what city you go to. Throughout the whole UK, there are so many opportunities and so many doors that can be opened and unlocked. So I believe it doesn't really matter who you are, what group or demographic you're in. There are always doors there to be opened, and there are always slots. And I think with I don't want to go too specific with Manchester, but Manchester, for example, it's constantly growing. There's always more opportunities, more firms, more buildings being built. And yeah, there's always a door there. And we would love more and more people to contribute and experience the UK. It's not just valuable for you personally, but it will be professionally as well over a long period of time. There's a great level of cultural acceptance, and always sharing the pie. Everyone gets a piece of everything. So yeah, I think I'll stick with that. But yeah, there's so much here in the UK, so much that you can benefit from, and I think anyone would find it extremely valuable.
I couldn't agree more. Look, I'm here now. Kirti, what advice would you have for everybody who's thinking about the UK?
Sure. I think I would advise, if you're planning to come and to study here at the UK, I think one thing is that you just be open, be open to anything and everything that's coming your way within the university. I mean, I can't comment outside the university. From the academic perspective, I mean, if you're getting opportunity to participate in competitions, and several of them, just go ahead and do it, because this is your platform to kind of try, experiment, fail. Nobody's going to judge you, but it'll help you prepare yourself for the outside world, for the professional world that you intend to sort of get in after the program, right? I think be open, be open to be comfortable. I mean, uncomfortable, absolutely
Yeah.
uncomfortable, right?
Absolutely.
Just jump in. Do not intellectualize things. You've been given opportunity, just take it and think about it later, like, okay, how do I solve this problem now? Just do it. And that's all I would say. Anyone who's coming to study here.
Excellent advice. A lot of people are afraid to fail. This is a safe space to fail in, and it's really the perfect timing to do it. Well said. Isabel, last but certainly not least, what advice would you give everybody thinking about coming to the UK?
Yeah, I mean, it goes also hand in hand with what Kurti has said, right? Just be courageous, but also know that everyone is going through the same trajectory as you are. So there's always that room to learn from each other and from one another. So my advice really is not to just choose a business school, but to actually choose the lens through which you want to see the world, because that really, really matters. And every school, at least those are represented here, has its own DNA. And it's
Yeah.
important to understand, which lenses do you actually want to see the world moving forward. And also just, look for a place that nurtures your leadership, your thinking. And for me, Oxford has not only challenged me, it has also stretched me, and it has changed me for the better. As far as the UK is concerned, I think one of the unique selling points is its close proximity to European markets. Very close to Berlin, to Brussels, and it's that European melting point as the financial hub of Europe. And also considering that there are several languages in Europe, UK is particularly stands out because of English speaking, obviously. So it's easier to navigate, unlike, of course, studying in places like Switzerland, which was also an option for me. But the English was very important, and the internationality as well. So yeah, definitely. I think studying in UK has its advantages, and as an advice that I can give, just be open-minded and be humble
Yes.
during the program as well. Humility is very, very important because you're going to be meeting inspiring people who've also achieve magnitudes, and you learn mostly from your peers rather than from the professors. They just facilitate, really.
No, I couldn't agree more. Humble and stay curious. And just to honestly, Isabel, what you said is right. Each school has its own flavor and it fits the right person. So do take time to figure out where you fit into. We will have another session next week with additional universities in the UK. I want to thank our panelists. You have been outstanding. I was able to travel a little bit with you guys. Isabel, I will see you at the end of the month. Thank you for helping us promote the UK, which is a fantastic destination. I enjoyed our time together. Nyan, enjoy the rest of your vacation before you get to work at PwC. And have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much.